I froze the moment I saw it. Not the kind of freeze that makes you drop things or draw attention. No, mine was quieter than that. The kind that settles behind your ribs and holds you still while your mind races ahead, trying to make sense of something it already understands too well. It was my first day back at work at 73 years old, and there, on a neatly organized desk across from mine, sat a framed photograph of my husband. Same smile. Same posture. Same navy blazer I had helped him pick out for what he told me was a business dinner in Columbus. Only in this picture, his arm wasn't around me. It was around her. I set my coffee down carefully, as if the slightest misstep might break something I couldn't repair. Then I asked, as calmly as I could manage, "That's a nice photo, how do you know him?" She didn't hesitate. Not even for a second. "That's my husband." There are moments when the world doesn't collapse, it rearranges itself into something colder, sharper, and far more honest than what you believed before. "I see," I said. Then I took a breath, looked her directly in the eyes, and added, "So am I." Her name was Rachel. 38, efficient, composed, the kind of person who notices details for a living. I could tell immediately she wasn't the dramatic type, which made what followed even more unsettling. We didn't argue. We didn't accuse. We compared. Dates. Trips. Stories. Little details that don't lie when placed side by side. Within 15 minutes, we both knew the same thing: this wasn't confusion. This was design. My name is Harold Bennett. I spent 45 years building a commercial plumbing company from the ground up. Nothing glamorous, but solid work. Reliable income. Enough to raise a family, pay off a home, and retire with dignity. After my first wife passed, I lived alone for nearly a decade. Long enough to get used to silence. Long enough to convince myself that companionship was something meant for younger people with time left to rebuild. Then came Daniel. He was thoughtful in ways that didn't feel forced. Patient. Respectful. He didn't rush anything, which, at my age, felt like proof of sincerity rather than hesitation. We married after 3 years. My daughter, Claire, never trusted him. "I'm not saying he's a bad person," she told me once, sitting across from me at my own kitchen table. "I'm saying he's too careful." "What does that even mean?" I asked. "It means he never slips," she said. "And people who never slip are usually hiding something." I dismissed it at the time. Not because I thought she was foolish, but because I wanted peace more than suspicion. That was my mistake. The first changes were subtle. Daniel began encouraging organization. "You've built a lot, Harold," he'd say. "It deserves to be protected properly." That meant updating my will. Reviewing property titles. Making things simpler. It all sounded reasonable. Responsible, even. I made adjustments, nothing extreme. Claire remained my primary heir. But I included Daniel in ways that reflected our marriage. That decision reached Claire faster than it should have. She called me that same week. "Did you change your will?" she asked. "Yes," I said. "Because of him?" "Because it made sense." She was quiet for a moment. "Or because he made it sound like it did?" I didn't answer that. Over time, the pressure shifted. Claire became distant. Daniel became more involved. Not aggressively, never that. Just present. He started handling certain payments. Then accounts. Then suggesting we streamline investments. "It's just easier if things are consolidated," he explained. Not because I didn't understand what I was signing, but because nothing, taken individually, looked dangerous. That's how well it was built. Back at the office, Rachel and I started comparing more than just timelines. We compared finances. Money wasn't disappearing. It was being redirected. Carefully. Small amounts at first. Then larger ones. Accounts structured similarly, joint access, layered transfers, enough complexity to avoid immediate suspicion. He told me it was for tax efficiency, Rachel said quietly. He told me the same thing, I replied. Then I asked the question that shifted everything from betrayal to strategy. Has he ever talked about your house? She hesitated. Yes, she said slowly. He mentioned restructuring ownership, something about long-term planning. I nodded. That was all I needed. The next morning, I requested full property records for my home. When they arrived, I sat at my dining table, the same one I'd refinished with my own hands 20 years earlier, and read every line. Buried deep in legal language was a conditional clause. Not a full transfer. Not yet. But a pathway. A mechanism that would shift control under specific circumstances tied to my mental capacity. Medical authority. Financial oversight. Legal control. And suddenly, Claire's recent behavior made sense. The questions about my memory. The concern about my confusion. The subtle suggestions that I might need help managing things. She wasn't just worried. She was being positioned. Whether she realized it fully or not, she had been drawn into something much larger than suspicion. The pressure came quickly after that. Claire invited me over for dinner. Formal. Intentional. Daniel encouraged me to go. It might be good to talk things through, he said. I went. Dinner was polite, almost rehearsed. Then Claire brought out a folder. I've been concerned about you, she said gently. Inside were medical notes, selectively presented, carefully framed. Some early cognitive decline, she continued. Nothing severe, but enough that we should put safeguards in place. I looked at Daniel. He didn't interrupt. Didn't defend me. He simply watched. That silence told me more than anything he could have said. Claire leaned forward. This would just be temporary, she said. Power of attorney, just until we're sure everything is stable. No, I said. She blinked. Dad. No, I repeated, calmer this time. Daniel shifted slightly in his seat. Just enough for me to see it. Not concern. They thought I was already too far gone to resist. They were wrong. What they didn't know was that I had already begun preparing. I contacted an attorney, someone I had worked with years ago when my business expanded. Careful, methodical, not easily impressed. I gave him everything. Rachel did the same. He took his time. Verified every transfer. Reviewed every clause. Traced every account. When he was done, he leaned back and said, "This isn't just deception. This is structure. Can we stop it?" I asked. He gave a small nod. Yes, he said. But we do it cleanly. So we waited. And then we chose the moment. I agreed to a meeting. Invited Claire. Invited Daniel. Framed it as cooperation. Resolution. They came confident. They thought this was the final step. They were right. Just not in the way they expected. The meeting began simply. Reviewing documents. Clarifying intentions. Then my attorney introduced new evidence. Bank records. Transfer histories. Property filings. And finally, Rachel walked in. The room changed instantly. Daniel didn't. He looked exposed. And that's a very different expression. What is this? Claire asked. This, my attorney said, is the full picture. Not loudly. Not emotionally. Just clearly. The dual life. The financial pattern. The planned control through legal and medical positioning. Claire turned to Daniel. Is this true? He didn't answer immediately. The consequences followed. The property clause was voided. Accounts were secured. Legal action was initiated where necessary. Men like him don't fight when the structure collapses. They disappear. Claire sat there long after it was over. I thought I was helping, she said quietly. I looked at her. You were helping something, I said. It just wasn't me. That stayed with her. In the months that followed, things didn't magically repair themselves. But they became honest. And at this stage in life, honesty matters more than comfort. Every document in order. Every decision mine again. Sometimes I think back to that first moment. That photograph. That quiet question. Because it wasn't anger that saved me. It was restraint. At my age, people expect confusion. They expect hesitation. They expect decline. Is patience sharp enough to see everything before making a single move? And that's what made all the difference.